I looked at Israel. I looked at the 7-day war, 6-day war, the 7-day war. I looked at what the Islamic radicals who governed the country surrounding Israel said. They basically told the Jews, we're taking your wives. When we win this war, your wives and daughters are ours. We're raping them. They told them. They made it public. We're coming for your women as slaves. Because that's, so anyone who wants to know Islam, that's halal. Yeah, you're allowed to do that. So they're allowed to come in and take all the women as sexual slaves. So Israel was faced. And then I saw Israel has 2 million Arabs, 2 million Muslims in it, that can become part of government, that can become politicians. We keep hearing about this apartheid state. So I went to Israel. I looked at all this. I thought it's bullshit. Islam is a democracy surrounded by totalitarian, Sharia-driven shitholes. Yeah? How are you going to deal with that? How are you going to deal with that as a country? They want the Article 2 on the Hamas manifesto. So remember, Hamas is like the Labour Party. Not much difference, to be honest, yeah? But Hamas, in their political manifesto that got them elected by the majority of Gazans, said the final day of judgment does not come until every Jew is dead. Didn't say every Zionist, doesn't say every Zionist. This is in their manifesto. Every Jew is dead. How do you negotiate with that? And when they say the majority voted for Hamas, the rest of the population voted for Fatah. There's another terrorist group. Like, what are you talking about? So how would you negotiate with that? What would you do? I know what I'd do. I know what I'd demand my government done. I know what I'd do. And in fact, they do everything. Like, you keep hearing about genocide. So I went to Israel. And I spent time in Israel. And when I was in Israel, I paid young Muslims. I met young Muslims and I paid them to take me. So when you go to Israel, they have all, do not go past here. You know, you've got all big signs. Right. Dangerous. Don't go here. So I went to Israel and thought, that's where I want to go. Yeah? I want to go there. So I looked up this Fatah-controlled, terrorist-controlled refugee camp. And I met some young Arabs. They didn't know who I was. And I was with my mate from school, Dean, black lad. His parents from Jamaica. And he loved history. So I said, come with me, let's go to Israel. Let's go see what it's about. Let's really go there. And we went there, and then I said, right, Dean, I've sorted it. We're going into the refugee camp. He's like, we're not. I said, he goes, bruv, I ain't coming to get killed. Like, I know you're mad, but I haven't come here for this shit. I said, bruv, listen to me. And I'm quite persuasive anyway. So I said, imagine we go there and we have a day in the camp and we spend all day there and we find out and we see imagine how fascinating it's going to be, blah, blah, blah. And we're in a taxi then. And I've done a little video and I said, right, I'm in the back of the car. The Muslims are in the front with my mate and he's sitting there going, what the f-? We had a massive argument first. I ain't come to do this. I said, well, I have. I'm going. So you're going to leave me go on my own? I'm going into that camp. I'm seeing and then I've done a little video and I said, I'm in the back of a taxi. Yeah, we're in the back of a car and we're on the way into a terrorist-controlled refugee camp. Fucking man. I said, we're going to go see what's going on. And I'm in this camp and there's videos of us in this camp. And as we're walking around the camp, I'm playing football with the kids, man. And my heart bled for them as well. But the Muslim lad who got me in there didn't know who I was. And I kept saying to him, who's oppressing you? Expecting Israel, yeah? The Palestinian Authority. Who's the Palestinian Authority? I didn't know nothing. Who's the Palestinian Authority? They govern us. And he said, what you have to understand is, Stephen, and on the side of the walls of all their properties is the murals of the people who have left that camp, so the families. So when you're outside the house, there's a massive picture of this woman, and she blew up a bus in Israel. Yeah, she was a suicide bomber, but this was her house. Yeah, so I found it all fascinating. And these are heroes to this camp. They're heroes. The children are being brought up to see these as martyrs. The children are being brought up. And then he corrected. So he said, the Palestinian Authority pay whoever, her family would have been paid for the rest of their life. Yeah. So whoever comes out of this camp and kills an Israeli. And I said, so anyone who lives here and goes kills a Jew in Israel, he said, no, he corrected me, not a Jew, an Israeli. Wow. I was like, they don't even have to kill a Jew. They can kill a Bedouin Muslim. Yeah. They still get the reward. So then I said to my mate, we're always told radicalisation in the UK is because of poverty. Look at these kids, man. They've got nothing, bro. I said, where's the park? There is no park. What do you mean there's no park? Yeah. And his words, we've had 2 times more money in Germany had after the World War. We could all have a villa. Yeah? We can all have a mansion. We will always be refugees because it benefits the Palestinian Authority for us to be refugees for the money to fund the war against the Jews. Yeah. And he sat and he's very open about it. And he didn't mention Israel once. And he said that the Palestinian Authority oppress us. We need free his words, never give money to free Palestine. Yeah. Never. We don't get it. And I'm going through and I'm thinking, hell, man, this is so interesting for me. And I looked at my mates, we're in there all day, and I'm playing football with the kids, and the kids were lovely, and they're all running around with toy guns, and they've got nothing. I wanted to give them money. I said afterwards, it works. They bring politicians to these camps, they show them the squalor, the kids, the families. You want to help them, yeah? But you're not helping them. You're helping Hamas. You're helping the billionaire sat in Qatar. So as I've gone through all this, and then I said to my mate as we were walking around, I said, what do you reckon? He goes, great, man, because we was in there. And then there was some Bedouin, they had machine guns. So I've got at this time, I'm wearing a I Love Israel t-shirt. It's fucking mad. I'm wearing an I Love Israel t-shirt. And I went over and I'm asking them all, Trump had just got elected. So that's when it was. Trump had just got elected. I said, lads, what do you think about, they think I'm a tourist, wanting to know question. What do you think about Trump's election? And they said, yes, we need strong man. America must be strong man. I was like, really? I didn't expect that either. And everywhere I went, I was on the Golan Heights and the war's going off, so you can see the bombs. Yeah, I'm on the Golan Heights. And there's an argument about the Golan Heights because Israel took control of the Golan Heights because it's up high. And the Muslims were using it to barricade them. So they had to take it. But they've took control of the Golan Heights. And I said to this Muslim lad, what's it like living here in Israel for you? What's it like? He goes, I love it. It's okay. And I'm trying to push him to say some negative stuff, to get some negatives. He looked at me and he said, you see over there? And the bombs are going off. He goes, where do you think I want to be? Over there. He goes, I pray 5 times a day. And I was asking him about Islam and in Israel. How is it for you in Israel? And everything I thought I knew is the opposite. It's the opposite. Yeah. And even down to, we get shown this big wall. I expected a prison. Gaza's a prison, an open-air prison. Got 5-star hotels. But I was expecting this big open-air prison. And they all the time on the news as I was growing up, and I've heard about Palestine and the conflict, they show you this wall with turrets on, this big, massive wall. It's about 10 metres long. That wall is 10 metres long. There's no wall. There's no wall around it. There's about a 2-mile gap, and then there's fences, and there's a big border because we climbed there was an army turret. So I've gone to Israel. As I've gone in, as I said, I've walked the camp. I've done all this with this lad. I really liked him. I related with him more than anyone I met in that trip, the Jews. I related with this Muslim lad. He just seemed like he could have been from Luton. And then when I sat down, when I got back to Israel, I put cameras on him. And I said to him, can I tell you who I am? I said, have you heard of the English Defence League? He said, yes. I said, my name's Tommy. I founded the English Defence League. And he looked furious. He looked furious, but we had already, by that point, we'd had a good day together. Yeah. And then, we got on really well. And he said, why? Why? I said, brother, I've just risked my life. Yeah. I'll be dead if they knew who I was in there. And I said, because I had to hear it from you. And what I've heard has totally shocked me. I had to hear your story as a Muslim in a refugee camp, 4th generation refugee. Your kids are going to be 5th. He said it. My kids will be 5th generation. Theirs will be 6th. Now, the only way out for him, that's what I said to my mate, Dean, I'd do anything for my kids, wouldn't you? Yeah? In a desperate situation. So the only way out for these refugees is to go kill an Israeli. Really? So then I viewed the whole conflict a bit different as well, because I'd always blamed it on jihad a lot. I've always said jihad is the sole reason. Then I realised these are mercenaries. Many of these men might not even believe in it, but their families are getting rescued by killing someone or attempting to kill someone. So all of that. And then we went up and we climbed up there's an army turret. There's on the border of the Gaza Strip. Yeah. There's army turrets, yeah? So we've gone up there. I was like, fuck, man. So we've gone through. And again, it says, don't go here, yeah? So we've climbed up this army turret and we've got a lens camera with the Muslim lad. Yeah? We're zooming in. And he said, there's Hamas, yeah? So they're in, like you see ISIS in all the flatbacks. So they're in flatback trucks doing their own border. So they've got their own border security for where Gaza Strip is. Yeah? Right. So they're going up and down, and then they've stopped, and they're looking at us, and we're looking at them. So I was like, he goes, they're looking at us. And I said, they're looking at us. I said, you wankers. I said, we're swearing at mass up on an army turret. And then the Israeli army come from everywhere. Boom. They come screeching in like, what the f*** are you doing? I said, we're swearing at mass. And they're like, you're going to get shot. Get down. And then when we get down, they grilled us like the Israeli army did.
They were angry at you.
Yeah, proper angry. I guess we've risked them. We've risked their safety as well.
True.
We're stupid. But it was a fascinating trip. I went to Israel with all these expectations. And of course there's problems. There's going to be problems. But I felt safe in Israel. Israel's a holiday resort. And go Tel Aviv, man.
It's nice.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. And felt safe the whole time.
Yeah.
I felt safe the whole time.
You're not being paid by the Israeli Tourist Board.
No, that's why. But this is what people say.
I know.
People say it. I was like, and anyone who criticised me on it, I said, have you been there? Have you ever spoke to a Muslim that lives in Israel? Because there's 2 million of them. Have you ever been to a refugee camp? Do you even know what you're talking about? What are you talking about?
I get
propaganda from proper Iranian proxy army on our streets. You're pushing the propaganda of Iran, of Qatar, of Hezbollah, of Hamas. Look at the money they have. So anyone who's criticised me, I was like, you haven't been there, so shut up.
I get the same thing, told that I'm being backed by whoever, and I react the same way as you. Like, well, if they want to give me some money,
give me some money.
I could do with it, to be honest.
I'm in court. I've got a 130 grand bill on the 28th, 29th of October, so please.
The idea that Mossad would be so sloppy as to approach a couple of YouTubers who could easily just...
Well, do you know why they said it? Do you know why they said it about me? Because when I went to Israel, you can buy Mossad t-shirts.
Yeah,
so I bought a Mossad t-shirt from a tourist shop. When I went to New York, I bought I love New York Police Department t-shirt. I'm not in the New York Police Department, lads. Yeah, and if I was in Mossad, the Mossad t-shirt from a souvenir shop on the Golan Heights doesn't mean I'm in Mossad. And essentially, and at times. So I went with Luton football hooligans to Tottenham. Were playing Millwall years ago when I had the EDL. Tottenham were playing Millwall, and that's a massive game. They hadn't played each other for years, So big rivalry. So I love my football. I went with Tottenham. And when I went there, people were saying, why the hell, because I was spotted there, obviously, why the hell was Tommy Robinson here? So I just put, because I'm Jewish. I'm just taking the piss.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Tottenham's a sort of Jewish identity club.
Jewish identity club. And then and then Nick Griffin was always saying I'm a Zionist. Now, so when I went to America this time, when I snuck into America, when I went to the conference, I wore I'm a Zionist badge. Oh, right. I didn't know what Zionist was at that time. And I didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
For me, a Zionist means you believe in a homeland for the Jews. That's all it means. Yeah?
I'm a Zionist.
Yep, I'm a Zionist. I don't care. I believe the Jews can have a homeland. There's 55 Islamic nations. Why can't the Jews have one? Yeah. Why not? It's historically their land. I've done I've done all the tours. I've done all the research. I went to the the new, where they building on the land. So you've got 7 families. They build them. These are why we can't have peace, apparently.
Outside the West Bank, or
outside
in
the West
Bank.
So I went there, And I went there and I went on to these, and basically you've got 8 or 9 families who have took a bit of desert and they've made it beautiful, okay? They've it's all greenery. It's like they've brought life to where there was nothing. That's why I went there. So I spent time on the camp. I saw everything when I was there. I went to look at every avenue, to every argument. And as I said, I risked my life to do it, to understand, to come back and understand. And do you know what fascinated me? There's about 1,000 young Arab Muslims. They're racing camels. And that's when I got and there's a geezer with a machine gun there. And I've got the I love Israel t-shirt. So I said, stop the car. So we stopped the car and I got out of the car and I went over to where, just to watch all these Arabs racing camels and that. There's all Jews sitting with their skull caps having a picnic, I thought, you couldn't do that in London. You couldn't do that in London. There was no animosity between the two groups or the people. There was none, A Jewish family with 1,000 young Muslims in London wouldn't sit in a picnic like that because they'd get grief. I guarantee you. So that it was very different. It works better in Israel.
I bet, yeah.
The Muslim Jew thing works better in the state of Israel than it does with thousands of young Muslims than it does in the UK. So anyone listening, the left aligned with the terrorists and the jihadists, and they worked together to bring down the system, to break down the country. It's what you're seeing on these Hamas demonstrations, okay? You're seeing the communists and Marxists, they're all joined with the Islamists, they're all friends all of a sudden. And the far right, the Nazis, they all come together. They all hate Jews, so they're all together. They're all like Nick Griffin sitting around a table with Muslim radicals now, all having a laugh at that. Because they hate the Jews. So they're all coming together. And as they come together, as they did in Lebanon, as they did in Iran, they overthrow. And who gets killed first? The left.
Yeah.
They killed them all, you fucking morons. They're going to execute you. You're siding with people who despise you. Jihad is not just for Jews. Jihad's for every non-Muslim, including you lot. You communist, Marxist knobs. It's like, I just don't think, have you not looked at history? Have you not learned a single thing? There's 55 countries in the world, 45 countries in the world that Islam has come into as a minority, and then it's dominated and it's caused war. There's not one single country in our history that has peacefully coexisted. Ever. Why do you think Europe's going to be any different? You morons. Afghanistan, 99% of the Muslims in Afghanistan want Sharia law. What do you think? 100 of them come to the border and they leave it behind. They come into the country, as you'll see in our new documentary, and they bring those intolerant medieval views of women with them. Don't leave it. And then when you allow the funding to come from Saudi Arabia, Qatar are the biggest exporters of terrorism in the world. Qatar, who houses Hamas's leaders. Qatar, who sat there and is giving nearly £1 billion to Islamist radical organisations throughout Europe to grow the mindset of Islam, to take over. It's funded. I remember I went for Al Jazeera is the mouthpiece of Qatar. I went for an interview at Al Jazeera. To get into their building, you have to go through passport-style, airport-style security. Yeah, there was a terrorist attack the week before. And I sat down and said, you cheeky bastards. Yeah, you are causing all this terrorism. Your country. You're funding. You're doing all this, and then you're sitting in here, your palace with all your security, while we're out walking the streets, waiting for the next jihad attack that you played your part in. They orchestrated, Iran, Qatar orchestrated the attacks on October 7th. They've orchestrated time and time again jihad across Europe. And it's not going to stop. It goes up every year. As the Islamic demographic increases, the birth rate increases, the demographic, the open border immigration, the more Islam, the less freedom. And then we even make a decision. Do you want an Islamic Europe or do you want a Christian Europe? Do you want a Europe that looks a bit like it does now? What do you want Britain to look like? I don't want Britain to look like Saudi Arabia. I don't want to. And I will do everything in my power to awaken the public. I'm not saying I can stop it. I'm one man, but I can awaken people and make sure people understand what the future looks like. And I truthfully believe that if every British person understood truthfully what the future is going to look like for their children in a decade's time, there'd be a revolution tomorrow, a peaceful revolution.